After the embarrassing loss to the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday night, a lot of people are talking about the New England Patriots like they're already dead and buried for the season and that the Tom Brady era is done. He's old, he's washed up. And in fact, it seems like a lot of the blame is being placed directly at the feet of Tom Brady. Now, look, I understand Tom Brady doesn't look that good, and frankly, he hasn't played that well at all. And if you think he's looking old, you're probably right because frankly, I'm seeing some of the same things. I don't think he's reading defenses nearly as well as he once did. His accuracy is off, his confidence seems a little shaken. He looks like a player that is definitely quickly on the downside of his career to the point where you wonder if his career will be over sooner rather than later. But one thing I dispute that I see a lot of people putting out there is that Tom Brady is the biggest problem, or that Tom Brady is the primary reason why the New England Patriots offense is struggling, or why the New England Patriots are only 2-2, and so on and so forth. I'm not absolving Tom Brady of any blame. I'm not like the Peyton Manning defenders that when things go bad for him, they find everybody else to blame but him. And that's the truth. Peyton gets all the credit, none of the blame. Hey, I'm all for when Brady does well, give him some credit. But when he does bad, give him some blame too. And he does deserve some blame because, like I said, he flat out hasn't played well. This is a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback, an elite franchise quarterback, or he's supposed to be an elite quarterback in today's NFL, and he has played middle of the road. He's given you a level of play you would have expected if the Patriots years ago would have decided to keep Matt Castle. And that's the truth. But again, I dispute the notion that he is the biggest problem. For my money, the biggest problem facing the New England Patriots today is the guy that is often considered the mastermind, the evil genius, the sleuth, the architect of the New England Patriots dynasty, the New England Patriots way, and that is head coach and pretty much general manager Bill Belichick. Now, in terms of Belichick, the coach, obviously this is a guy that knows football pretty damn well. I don't dispute that. But for a guy that's supposed to be such a defensive genius and such a defensive guru, then how come so many of his defenses in recent years have been boo-boo? How come so many of his defenses have been bad? How come so many of his big-time decisions have proven to be wrong? What I don't understand is why it seems like so many people are unwilling to talk about the elephant in the room. How so many people are completely blinded by the fact that the biggest problem for the New England Patriots is Bill Belichick, and in particular, Bill Belichick, the general manager and talent evaluator, undercutting Bill Belichick, the head coach, and the entire organization. Now, here's what I mean. You're talking about Bill Belichick, the guy with his hands in all the different cookie jars, the guy that's created the Patriots way. So now that things don't look so good, he can't sit there and turn away and not take responsibility, because I think the responsibility largely falls on his shoulders because he's the one that's made it that way. Let's look at the Patriots' recent draft history with these drafts being run and orchestrated by Belichick. I don't give a damn what anybody says. They have Bill Belichick's fingerprints all freaking over them. Since 2008, so the past 7 NFL drafts from 2008 to 2014, they've had a total of 37 picks in the first 4 rounds. 37! Just think about that. 37 over the past 8 drafts. That's almost 5 picks in the first 4 rounds each of the past 7 seasons. That's a tremendous number of picks. And this is one of these things that Belichick was having his ass universally rimmed and universally kissed about for years by so many of the draft experts. Look at the way he maneuvers up and down the draft boards and uses these picks to accumulate additional currency to use for later and ... It's one of these things that sounds great in theory, but you keep playing around and you still don't do well with what you're doing, then you were just finding a creative way to suck at something. Just think about that for a second. You still found a way to suck at something. 37 picks in the first 4 rounds since 2008. 34 of these mother effers. Like I said, basically 5 picks in the first 4 rounds each of the past 7 years. And out of all of those picks, You would think, with him being such a sleuth and genius and mastermind, that he would construct a dynasty that was insurmountable, that the Patriots would have 7 or 8 Super Bowl championships under his administration. Well, they still have 3, and the last one coming back in the 2004 season. Out of those 37 picks, and I'm just focusing on the guys in the first 4 rounds, 37 of them over the past 7 years, only 10 of them are currently starters on the team. So less than half of those starters on your team right now came from those first 4 rounds of your drafts over the past 7 years. That is a pretty large sample size. And only 4 of those starters have come on offense. Now, how ridiculous is this? That your franchise is supposed to be built around your elite, first ballot Hall of Fame, all-time great quarterback Tom Brady, and yet out of 37 picks in the past 7 years, you have managed to accumulate 4 starters on offense to help the guy out. 4! How many? 4! Out of 37 picks. How ridiculous. And what's even more ridiculous about this is the fact that over the past 7 drafts, the Patriots have had a total of 6 first-round picks. I'm not counting like 2013 or 2009 when they had a bunch of second-round picks, but they've had a total of 6 first-round picks since 2008 due to wheeling and dealing and maneuvering and all this other fancy crap. And in that time, with Tom Brady as your franchise, knowing that you were letting guys like Moss go and Walker go, your offensive line was getting old, you spent exactly 1 first-round pick on an offensive player. 1. And that was a guy that got benched on the game on Monday night, Nate Solder, your first-round pick out of Colorado in 2011. All your other picks are on defense in the first round. Holy mighty. Out of those 37 picks in the first 4 rounds since 2008, 17 of them are no longer on the New England Patriots team. Now, some of them have left free agency, trade, what have you, but a lot of them left because they sucked and they got cut. Why? Because they sucked, so they got cut. 17. That is almost half of those players. Think about this. The first, second, third, fourth round. You've had 37 cracks at it. You managed to find 10 starters, only 4 of them on offense, and almost half of those 37 players are no longer on your team for one reason or another. That seems like a pretty incompetent draft idiot as far as I'm concerned. If it was anybody else other than Bill Belichick, people would be calling him one of the worst general managers in football and be calling for his damn head. But based off of history and based off of reputation nurtured by the media and fan base and the Patriots themselves and Belichick himself, he manages to be safe and sound, free from any and all criticism. Well, I'm not stupid enough to fall for that shit. I see right through it. The bottom line is the whole philosophy of Belichick and the way he structures his drafts is totally off base. Over the past several years, you have put such an emphasis and premium on the defense when you're supposed to be the defensive mastermind. All the while, you've got a Hall of Fame, first ballot, elite quarterback in Tom Brady that you completely have a total unwillingness to build around. Like, look at it this way. Heading into the 2014 NFL draft, people are screaming for another tight end to replace Aaron Hernandez, to complement Rob Gronkowski or potentially replace Gronkowski if he continues to get hurt. Or they're screaming for a primary target at wide receiver. And they take Dominique Easley, a defensive tackle with a couple of torn ACLs in the first round. Who does that? Seriously. If other organizations did that crap, they'd be lampooned all over the place. But somehow, because it's Bill Belichick, he gets a pass. And why does he get a pass? His recent draft history indicates that he doesn't deserve a pass. Let's look at this a little bit more. Let's go back to 2013. This was a draft where he spent multiple picks on wide receivers, and it was another crappy draft for Bill Belichick. Like, he took Jamie Collins in the second round, a solid player, a good NFL starting linebacker. But again, Tom Brady is your franchise player. You took Jamie Collins, you stupid fuck. When you keep taking linebackers, like the year before, you took Dante Hightower in the first round. A few years before that, you took Jerod Mayo in the first round. Now you're spending a second-round pick on Jamie Collins. How many high picks do you need to spend on linebackers? Why can't you spend some of that on offensive linemen or wide receivers or a tight end, for crying out loud, to help out your Hall of Fame quarterback? Here's an idea. Instead of taking Jamie Collins, how about you take Eddie Lacy or hell, even Terrence Williams? How much better would things look for the New England Patriots where instead of having Jamie Collins on defense, you had Eddie Lacy in the backfield or Terrence Williams outside? Now, some of you will say, well, what about Keenan Allen? Well, there you go. Their other second-round pick, Aaron Dobson. Bill Belichick somehow, some way, thought that Aaron Dobson was a better NFL prospect than Keenan Allen. I think he literally is the only incompetent nincompoop on the entire planet heading into that 2013 draft that thought Aaron Dobson was a better NFL wide receiver prospect than Keenan Allen. Seriously, where in the hell would you gather that from? Look at what Keenan Allen's done in San Diego. And look at Aaron Dobson. He's mouthing off to your crappy offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, and he's benched. That's the type of stupid shit that Belichick's done in recent years. That if other organizations do it and other general managers and head coaches do it, they get called to task. They get fired. Not Belichick. He gets praised and he gets raises. Look at 2012. Chandler Jones won't knock. You needed a defensive end like him. But look at Dante Hightower. Need to help a wide receiver. Maybe somebody like an Alshon Jeffrey. Heck, I didn't even like the kid coming out of South Carolina. But look at Alshon Jeffrey. You couldn't have taken him? Look at Tavon Wilson. They took him in the freaking second round. Maybe instead of taking Jamie Collins the second round the next year, maybe instead of taking Tavon Wilson in 2012, you could have taken Levante David with that pick. So Belichick's fucking up on offense, and he's fucking up on defense too. And then look at the third round. Oh, the hoodie. Got his hoodie off on this one. Jake Baquet. Who the fuck is that? A couple picks later, the Colts took T.Y. Hilton. So all of these picks, their first 4 picks of 2012, I understand was in part a knee-jerk reaction to the Super Bowl in that season, what have you. But their first 4 picks are spent on defense, knowing that their offense needed help on the offensive line, outside at wide receivers, so on and so forth. You spend your first 4 picks on defense, and you proceed to take Tavon Wilson over Levante David. You proceed to take Jake Baquet over somebody like a T.Y. Hilton, the type of slot guy that you desperately could have used. Now some will say, well, that's hindsight and that's 2020. No, you know what? For a guy like Belichick, he's supposed to be smart enough to have first sight. He's supposed to be able to see it ahead of time. He should be able to understand that, Levante David might be a better prospect than Tavon Wilson, who most everybody else views as a 5th or 6th round pick. Holy Christ, look at 2011. Ross-I Dowling in the second round. No, that was a good one. Why would you want Randall Cobb? Hey, let's take Shane Vereen over DeMarco Murray. That's a good one. Look at 2010. Oh, Devin McCourty, a solid player. But remember, you traded back a few picks when you could have taken Dez Bryant. I look at the second round of that draft, and I laugh my ass off because he got this hard-on for Urban Meyer's Florida players, and then he takes a Florida defensive end, but instead of taking Carlos Dunlap, the guy who looked like he was going to be a legit player, he took fucking Jermaine Cunningham. Yeah, workout for him. Even when you go back to 2010, you didn't know maybe what was going to happen with Aaron Hernandez in the 4th round. And they took Gronkowski in the 2nd round. So he gets somewhat of a pass there, obviously. But in the 3rd round, he took Taylor Price, the wide receiver, instead of maybe somebody like, Jimmy Graham, the tight end out of Miami. All of these misses, all of these picks wasted on the defense that still isn't a top-flight defense. This is like New York Jets level stupid and bad. All of these high picks on defense, your defense still has flaws, your defense still has holes, all the while your quarterback's left blowing in the breeze wondering what the hell's going on here. You have nothing exciting on the outside at all. You have one tight end and you have nothing else behind him. Your running game has no real identity at all. And all the while, your offensive line stinks. They're not consistent in their ability to open holes in the running game. They, in particular, are terrible and old in terms of pass protection. They just flat out look bad, period, making your quarterback look even worse than he already does. Where the fuck is he supposed to hide? Where the fuck is he supposed to throw it to? Who's he supposed to count on that side of the ball? Oh, let's have him count on Dante Hightower and Jamie Collins. Let's have him count on Ross-I Dowling and Jermaine Cunningham. Look, and some of these players he's taken have turned out to be solid players. But again, it's not always just about the players. It's about the philosophy of the organization. And Bill Belichick's draft philosophy, in my opinion, over the recent years, has been complete and total horse shit. Numerous misses. 37 picks in the first 4 rounds since 2008. Only 10 of those players are starters this year. Only 4 of them on the offensive end. And all of these picks spent on defense. Like I said, 6 first-round picks, I believe it was, since 2008. 5 of them spent on defensive players. And your defense still isn't a top-flight defense. You still went out and spent a shit ton of money to bring in Darrelle Revis and Brandon Browner in the offseason at corner because you failed drafting assholes like Ross-I Dowling and Logan Ryan. Holy hell. When are people going to start to understand what the real problem is with the New England Patriots? It's Bill Belichick. You've let him take too much of the control, and the bottom line is there isn't enough checks and balances to balance out the fact that this guy, when it comes from a football and talent evaluation standpoint, is now a moron. Moron. Period. And there's plenty of evidence to back it up. If he thinks things are necessarily going to get a whole lot better for the New England Patriots, they're not. This bad drafting is going to continue to catch up to the Patriots and continue to hold them back. And with their usual unwillingness, with the exception of maybe this offseason, to spend big in free agency, it's not going to get any better. You can wave all that magical pixie dust of the Belichick variety on things as you want, but it's still not going to change the fact that there are systematic problems with the New England Patriots. Their approach and philosophy in terms of a team is wrong. Their approach and philosophy in terms of the draft is also wrong. And until that is addressed, until that is dealt with, things aren't going to get any better. And people are just going to heap more blame, it seems like, on Tom Brady and others and not put the blame where it really belongs, on the genius Bill Belichick.